Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!
Hit the brakes!
This is Noah with the band Victims of Sanity, and you're listening to ETX ROCKS, your place to hear all genres of locally created music here in East Texas. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our favorite Yankee, Boston Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with yours truly, Boston Chris. Guys, we are super excited about our guest this week. She is originally from and still lives in Sulphur Springs, Texas, which is in northeast Texas, up by Greenville and Commerce and Gilmer. I guess you got to go through Gilmer to get to Sulphur Springs if you live where I'm at in Longview. Some of you guys out there might know her from her run on The Voice in 2015. She was a top 8 contestant on The Voice. Tens of millions of people viewed her performances on The Voice, and tens of millions more have viewed her on YouTube. When she stepped onto The Voice stage, 3 of the 4 judges had already completed their teams, and there was one judge who just needed one more person for their team. And so there had to be a lot of pressure for Hannah Kirby when she stepped onto that Voice stage in 2015, knowing that there was only one more spot on a roster for one of the coaches. And she got Blake Shelton to turn around, and she became a member of Blake Shelton's team. And she finished in the top 8 in The Voice in 2015. Very, very well accomplished. She loves different genres of music. She's all over the place musically as far as her sound, and but her lasting love is rock and roll. She's also a violinist, and after she was done with The Voice, she recorded, produced, and published her own album, which is called Fire in My Soul. The ETX ROCKS Show is really, really excited and proud to present to you our phone call with the one and only Miss Hannah Kirby.
Okay, so we have Hannah Kirby on the phone. Hannah, are you there?
I am.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your time and coming on the ETX ROCKS Show with us today. How you been doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time. We've been trying to get in touch with you and getting this all scheduled up. You must be a pretty busy gal.
I try to keep busy. I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad to be on.
So, I mean, you really started in the music business pretty young. You had your first paying gig at 12. What was that like?
Well, we have these things around East Texas, right, called jamborees. You know what I'm talking about?
You know, like the Opry style shows.
Yeah, like the Opry style shows, and so I started doing that, and they let me in there because I play the violin, and so here's this little girl with a violin, and they were like, oh, okay, we got to let her in here because she can play the fiddle. So that's how I got started in doing that. They let me kind of get in there pretty young, and I think it was because I had that violin with me.
So when did you start playing the violin?
I started taking private lessons when I was about 8 years old.
Wow.
And and I did like the Suzuki method, which is it's classical, but you learn to sort of read music and play by ear. And my teacher, Sarah Holmes, she had me do Celtic and swing and just all kinds of stuff. So I really love playing all kinds of music on my violin, and it sort of gives me, I don't know, I think sort of a different kind of sound.
Not only that, but I think
a little more traditional, world kind of, more on the Celtic and a little bit of swing in there.
Absolutely. Not only that, but I think it gives you a lot of freedom, and you can definitely tell that.
Totally.
You can definitely see that freedom when you're listening to your music, especially your album. I mean, there's a lot of freedom involved in your album as far as jumping from genre to genre. Was that a strategy for you?
No, it's sort of, I'm not the sort of person that decides to sit down and write a song. I can try to do that, but it's never worked out for me. Maybe that's a skill that will come with time, that sort of, I'm going to sit down and write. Usually songs just hit me, and the song comes from somewhere, and I just sort of am like a vessel for it. So usually the song is what it wants to be, and so that's why that album sort of was just, those were just songs, like stories, you know, like that came to me, and they had their own sort of voice, and none of them were the same. And I like it when I get a new album and all the songs don't sound exactly the same.
Right,
So
and I think that's
I
important too.
definitely, yeah, I definitely didn't want my first album to just be like, oh, all this sounds the same. And also, it was sort of an experiment too, you know, like trying things and seeing the stuff that people respond to the best and what I like the best, because I would like to whittle it down a little bit and narrow my sights on what's the best sort of music vibe for me. But I don't think I'll ever be the sort of artist that just does one thing.
Right.
Because I just love music as a whole so much.
I find it very interesting too that, you know, I mean, basically what you're telling us is, you can't actually sit down and have like a songwriting session and then, you know, bear fruit from it. It's basically with you, it's kind of like, you know, you're just inspired by a moment or something and it just enters you, and that's when you need to sit down and write. So it's kind of like, you know, the creative process rules you instead of the other way around.
Exactly. I definitely feel very controlled by the muses, or you could say like it's when that apple falls on my head.
Right,
You
right.
know, it's like that sort of thing.
I find that very interesting. I mean, we've talked to a lot of different songwriters and stuff on the show, and you know, a lot of times they'll struggle when they try to sit down, and you know, they have that pressure behind them. You know, hey, I need to write a song. I need to write a song. But you know, sometimes if that pressure's there, the song comes out. Maybe it's not as quality as if you just let it happen naturally, kind of like what you do.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Because I mean, I can sit down and write a song, but it's like it'll be a week later and I look at it and I'm like, no way, man, like this is not a good thing right here. And it's funny because I also love to just write in general, like my own fiction and that sort of thing. And that I can sit down and write.
Right.
Like I don't have to have, it doesn't have to just hit me. I can sit down and work on it and mess with it and everything. But with music, it just comes from somewhere and moves through me. And like you said, I don't really have that much control over it.
Now, do you feel any pressure? Like if you know that you're working on an album or a future album or whatever, and you know that maybe the muses aren't helping you as much as you'd like them to, do you feel pressure? And oh my gosh, I have this album and I don't have anything happening creatively. I mean, do you feel pressure when that happens to you, or does it happen to you?
Well, like for the album Fire in My Soul, I had a bunch of music, and some of it was, I was feeling it more than other songs, and I was kind of like, I feel like I need, you know, like maybe two more songs. And I just sort of, you know, thought to myself, you know, I need two more songs, and like prayed about it and just waited on it. And I'm pretty chill, so the only, and those two songs ended up coming to me. And but usually what happens is I'll start to get kind of antsy, like if I haven't written a song in a while, because I love that. I love when that creative thing happens, and it's like bringing something new of yourself into the world. And so I get kind of antsy, and usually it doesn't get too bad, and then a song will come forth. And recently, the songs that have been coming to me have, they're all, it's you know, it's like the songs that came before them. They all have their own voice, but I think that my next album will probably be more of like a concept album kind of thing, that sort of all the songs are their own thing, but they point towards a similar idea.
Right.
At least I'd like to try that.
And I think it's really cool too. You know, I've been reading a lot about you. The first song you wrote, correct me if I'm wrong, it was "I'm Not Juliet," right? At the age of
Yes.
14.
Yes, I wrote that with my mom. I was trying to write songs, and I wanted to write my own original music, and I was pretty into, I don't know, I thought it was cool to be like real sad and dark or whatever. I don't know, that's like a teenage thing. But I couldn't write anything that didn't just, I mean, it was just awful. Like I still have some of it, and if I want to feel good about myself, I'll read it and I'll cringe. But my mom wrote a lot of songs back in the 80s. Like she would do these like Bob Dylan-esque gospel songs. Like they had a lot of verses, and they were about Jesus. And so I was like, Mom, like, how do you, write songs? Like, what's going on with that? Like, can you like help me out? And so she started playing guitar, and that's why that song is, the verses are in major and the chorus is in a minor key. And
Right.
that's because Mom started playing guitar, and she's just playing a major key. And then I just went off, right? And I just I started singing, and I went into the chorus, and anyway, that song, it was a strange way it was created, but from then on, it was like the vein was open, like the floodgates opened, and since that time, I've pretty much been able. I don't have to worry like, oh no, am I like ever going to be able to write another song like this or whatever. It just pretty much, it's open, and it's not like the waters are rushing through all the time, but it never shuts off, I don't think.
I think it's really cool too because, I mean, how old are you now, Hannah?
I'm 23.
Okay, so you're 23. So 9 years ago you wrote this song, and it's the very first song you put on your album. It's your debut album.
Yeah.
And I want to let folks know out there it's called Fire in My Soul. And the first song on this album is I'm Not Juliet, the song that we're talking about that you wrote at 14. And this song is unbelievable. I love this song.
Oh, thanks.
So I
Glad
mean,
you like it.
I'm 40 years old, so this is a song written by a 14-year-old teenager, and I'm kind of questioning my my musical opinions now because I really love this song. To find out it was written by you at 14, I was like, no way.
Yeah, man, we can just be crazy together.
So, I mean, once you started getting that songwriting bug at such a young age, once the song was done and you could hear it and you could play it back, I mean, did you just kind of get, was it a contagious kind of feeling at that point?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty chill, but I will say, like the sensation of writing a song. Like I said, I get antsy when it's been a while and I haven't written one. And I will say that after I wrote that first song with my mom, I wrote a lot in that first year after I wrote that first song, and I think it was because it had been like pin up, because I had been playing music since I was 12, like quote unquote professionally.
Right.
When you're that young, are you really a professional? I don't know, but I was making some money. So, but anyway,
well, if you're getting paid, technically it's professional.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But it just, I wrote the song "Light" was the second song I wrote. That's on the album, and I wrote that not too long after that. And I don't know what was going on with me when I wrote "Light." Because I haven't ever written another song like that. It's very metaphorical. I was reading Dante's Inferno back then. Like I said, I was like into stuff that was kind of sad and dark. But I don't know. I don't see how 14-year-old me wrote either of those songs really. And but yeah, I started writing a lot after that. And now it's sort of, the songs come to me. They're more finicky, I feel like.
Right.
I don't know what the right word to use is. It's like they're there, and I almost feel like they're like, not yet. You gotta wait.
Right.
It's not time yet. We'll come to you when we're ready.
Right.
And
sometimes
I
songwriting is definitely like that.
Yeah, and I have sort of a strange view of my songs, I guess. Like I think of them like they're children, sort of, and they're very much alive to me. I'm sure there are other musicians who feel that exact same way.
Absolutely.
I definitely think about them, almost as they are people themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to tell you one thing. I've listened to a lot of your music over the last month or so, and what I love about your lyrics, especially on your album, is, the lyrics make you think. They're really well thought out. So, for a young songwriter, that is really impressive to me.
Thanks. That's something that I really, and I actually have struggled with that, because like I've thought, should I try to be a little more straightforward and like try to simplify, and I've thought that, but I've recently just had to decide, no, like this is how I write music, and if at some point it's more straightforward, then it will be, but as of now, that's sort of how it comes out. is there's a good amount of metaphor, and sometimes I like to use higher level words and everything. Like in light, I use the word veracity. But anyway.
Good word. You just said the word metaphorical, and I had to write it down and show it to my producer. I was like, she just said this word. I mean, I get excited when I'm talking to somebody who's pretty intelligent. So.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I
well,
know a
hey,
couple of words.
I bet you there's a
I
few
got my
people out there
dictionary
looking
out
that
right
word
now.
up. Yeah. You're not supposed to have your dictionary out. That's cheating. Okay, so one of the things that I read about you is that, I mean, a lot of times when you talk to an artist and you ask them, what is your musical goal? You know, a lot of artists will say, well, you know, I want to sell so many albums, or I want to play this many dates on a tour. And I mean, what really stood out to me is your musical goal, and this I'm quoting you now, is to spark your fans into finding their own fire. I thought that was amazing. So, I mean, I would love to hear you talk more about what you mean by sparking your fans into finding their own fire.
Well, really, and that sort of means a lot of things to me, but one thing that's really important for me is I try to be self-aware, and it's really important for me to know who I am. And I feel like there's a lot of young people who don't really focus so much on that. And it's not the intent is not really to be selfish and be focused on yourself, but I think it's incredibly important to search oneself and every day wake up and think, well, who am I today? What am I going to learn? How am I going to grow? Am I the same as I was yesterday? Like, who am I? Like, what sort of person am I? Who do I want to be? What does all that mean? I can get into some of that really existential kind of stuff, but I want to write music, and of course not all of it is definitely I'm not Juliet as well. That's sort of a statement, so but about who a person is. But I definitely want to write some music that makes people question who am I? Who
Right.
do I want to be? What is my purpose? What does it mean? Who am I to other people? Like, what do I bring out of others? And for me, I want to be the sort of person that through my music and just when people are around me, I want to be the sort of person that brings out the best in others. And I think that music should bring out the best in others, whether it's a song that, you know, makes you cry, you know, if it makes you sad, but it's bringing something out of you so that you can work through that. Or if it, you know, brings joy out of you, that's sort of the best thing that I think music can do. But music can do more than anything else in the world, and to use that as a tool to sort of help people find who they are, I just think that is incredible. That a song can make you learn things about yourself. And so if I can help other people learn about themselves, then that's exactly what I want to do with my music.
That's just an amazing way of looking at things. I commend you for that because, I mean, if that's definitely part of your strategy and the way that you go about making your music, that's just unbelievable to me. So, I mean, congratulations on that. And that sounds like it's just a natural progression for you too, you know, so that's even more impressive.
Thanks.
So, I mean, I've listened to most of your album, and I got to try to list all of the different styles and genres that I heard emanating from your
Yeah.
album. So, I heard some rock and roll, I heard some classic
Yeah.
alternative. There's some soul music in there, some electronica, some pop, some folk, some country, some blues. There's some Christian in there, even some Celtic tones
Yeah.
mixed in here and there. So, I mean, my question to you is how do you tap into so many different styles of music, but still keep it natural to who you are?
Well, I think I naturally, it just sort of comes out that way. You know, like I said, I can't sit down and really plan it or anything like that. It just sort of comes out like that. And one thing that sort of is a thread that goes through all of my music is to me it's every single song is a story, and almost like a movie. And like I said earlier, I like to write my own fiction and that sort of thing. And for me, it's like everything is just its own big universe, you know?
Right.
And so when I'm working on a song, it's like I'm just like creating this other place. And that's another thing that I love about music, is that music can take you to another place. And it's sort of like I almost am writing like a soundtrack for something, not necessarily for a movie or for anything, but every song just has its own little world and little vibe, because I like to go places with music. I love music that when I listen to it, I feel like I'm going somewhere else, or I'm like leaving this earth, like in a sense, and going to this other, like whether it's like the future or the past or some fantastical place. Like I love music that takes you somewhere. And generally when I write a song, it's a song that is taking me somewhere, you know. And even and I hope that my music is relatable, because I definitely want it to be relatable, because I think there's sort of a line between making something too fantastical, you know. So
Right.
when I write, I think the thing that I try to do intelligently more than anything else, the thing that isn't so natural, is to try to find a way to take what naturally comes out of me being, you know, sort of like an otherworldly kind of thing, and give it lyrics that someone who wants to listen to something otherworldly or fantastic or futuristic could listen to it, but someone who is more set in this place and this time could listen to it, and it could relate to their life and what they're going through.
Absolutely. I think
And
also when you're sitting down and thinking about, and then I love that you have so much strategy involved in your music. You also have to think about, is this going to be connectable to a live audience too? Because I mean,
yeah,
you can sit in a studio and record an album, and it might be, it could pop and be amazing in the studio, but then when you sit in
yeah,
front of a live crowd, it could just be crickets. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
totally.
so I mean, it's really important, like you said, to be relatable, but also, sometimes being relatable cannot be unique to who you are. I mean, just because, if you're writing about a situation that you went through that might be a unique situation that not a lot of people go through, that might not be relatable, but it's still very healing to you as an artist, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so, we're sitting here talking with Hannah Kirby. This is episode 83 of the ETX ROCKS Show, and we've been talking for 20 minutes, and we have not mentioned the voice yet. I'm pretty proud of myself that we've gone 20 minutes, and I really wanted to focus on your album because, like I said, I really love the music on it. I love the lyrics,
Thank you.
but obviously, if we're talking to Hannah Kirby, we have to talk about the voice. So I guess my first question would be, how in the world did this start for you? Did you just tell us how you decided to go on the voice?
Well, I was actually recording the album before I went on. I had on the voice. I had started recording, and I was like, man, I'm gonna make this album, and I'm gonna be, you know, passing it out on the street or giving it to my friends and family, because no one's even gonna know that I recorded this album. And so I got a call from The Voice, and they were like, "Can you send us a YouTube video, and if the producers like it, then you'll fly down to California and get ready for the blind audition. And if they don't like it, then, you know, I'll tell you and you'll never hear from us again." I was like, well, you know, I haven't really ever thought of doing anything like this, but I was just thinking, you know, no one's going to know about my album. And so it was sort of like, this door that opened, and I felt like I would be kind of stupid if I didn't walk through the door that was open in front of me. So I sent in a video, and then she called back a little while later. She was like, "The producers liked it. You're in, and you'll hear from us again." And then I flew down and got ready for a blind audition and did it. And I was the last one. I took the last spot on Blake's team.
Right, and
It was pretty crazy.
I recorded an intro for this episode I did it before you before I called you, and I definitely made mention of the fact that you were the last one chosen, and also mentioned that there had to be some serious pressure going on in your head, knowing that 3 out of the 4 teams were filled, and there was one spot left on Blake Shelton's team. You're
Oh,
not
I didn't know.
Oh, so
I
you did.
didn't know.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I didn't know. I knew there weren't going to be many spots left because I was on the second to last day. And then
Okay.
the second to last day ended up being the last day.
Okay.
Because I was the last one, but I sat in a room with a bunch of people, and it's always sad when you know that there are people who don't get to audition. And my thing was, at that point, I was like, I just want to get to do the audition.
Right.
I was like, if I don't make it, that's whatever. But I'm here. I've been through all this. I would at least like to get to audition, and I was thankful just to have that happen. And then, I mean, I was surprised at how far I made it. Not because of really anything in particular, but just the fact that I almost didn't even audition in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was just one spot left, and if somebody had gone in front of me and Blake had liked that person, I could have, not even auditioned.
And I mean, a couple of things that stood out to me. The last season of The Voice that I actually watched was your season too. So I actually remember watching you live on The Voice. You auditioned with a song that not a whole lot of people know of, the letter, which was
Really? I
well.
didn't know that song. Where are they?
Well, did you know?
Directions
Did
to the
you know that
City.
was originally a song from the '60s? I mean, I know Jim
Oh yeah,
Croce
the
made
box
it.
top.
Yes, Box Tops. I love the Box Tops. And
See, I like the Joe Cocker version. I'm blasphemous. Pretty much every song that Joe Cocker covered is my favorite version of that song.
well, it was just when you sang the song, I was like, "Wow, man, she's doing the letter. This is awesome." And one thing I hated about the letter was it wasn't long enough. It seemed like it was
Yeah.
missing like that third verse or whatever it needed. It was always over before it began. So I mean, I took notice to you right away just by the song you chose to audition with, and then
Yeah.
the fact that Blake turned around, that had to be surprising too. Because you're not exactly a country singer either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he likes 80s rock and roll.
cool. I
So,
had no
yeah.
idea, but that's actually makes some kind of sense though.
I don't know, yeah.
And I like the fact that you actually even going on to The Voice and audition, and you had a strategy. It's like I'm working on this album, but I'm a small town girl. I'm from Sulphur Springs, and this album's going to be amazing, but nobody's going to know about it because only 50 people are
Yeah.
following me. So I mean, even that strategy of you weren't trying out for The Voice to become famous. You were trying out for The Voice just to build up your fan base so you could
Yeah.
release this album.
I just wanted to get up at least, I was like not even on the ladder. I just wanted to get my foot on that first rung and
Right.
have just a little bit of a following.
And I mean, so what were some of your best memories that came from, being on The Voice for however long you were on there?
Man, doing Shout was by Tears for Fears was probably my favorite moment. I suggested that song, and thankfully they let me do it. And Blake was like, "Man, if somebody else suggested this, I'd probably be like, no." But
You worked out the wardrobe for that too, right?
Yeah, I did. I sent in pictures. I wanted to do the military style jacket with the duster on the back, and I wanted to do a little nod to the 80s, and so they did my hair just in a very slight faux hawk. It's almost I sort of look like Roland a little bit from Tears for Fears back from the music video. My hair was kind of like up like that, but it was awesome. I had Blake suggested like the drum corps, which like awesome suggestion. Like he has really good ideas.
Right.
And especially like how you were saying, he's a country artist, but his suggestions for different types of music is he's got really good intuition about stuff.
Yeah, he just seems like a smart guy when it comes to performance.
And that was it was so fun with the drum corps and the outfit and everything, and I loved that song. You know, it's such a rebel song, and it's such a statement song for so many different things. And it was just really awesome. Like the whole the setup for it and everything, the stage, it was just really fun. I really enjoyed it, and like the band totally killed it. They're like they're like not even human. I just don't think they're human because I don't see how they learn so much music. It's insanity to me, and they're just like perfect.
Yeah, and they make it
Spot
through
on.
just season after season.
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't think that I could, just like as a violinist, like if I was in that band, they'd be like, "Get the heck out of here!" Like, oh, like,
right. Well, I
couldn't
mean,
do it.
I'd
be tired. I'd be falling asleep.
As a successful talent show contestant, I mean, you know, we've had Katie Lynn on our show from America's Got Talent. I don't know if you know who she is, but
I've heard that name. Yeah,
she's been on the show a couple of times, and I just wanted to know what would your advice be for other artists who would maybe like to try out for The Voice or a show like The Voice?
I think that artists should definitely be aware that it's not going to propel you into any sort of like huge instant fame or anything. It will, you know, bump you up. It'll gain you followers who like you and will follow you after your time on The Voice, but it's not sort of how it was back when American Idol first started, when it was like this new thing and it hadn't really been done before. It's been on for a while, and
right.
So it really doesn't do what it did when it first started, and it's a journey. It's such a journey, and I think that I don't really understand even the music world today. It's just constantly changing, and everything is online really, and you know, people can download music for free and everything, and it's a like crazy wild jungle, and it like really is, not to sound cliche, but what's important is, I think, for artists to, yet again, my whole thing of search out who they are, because who you are affects your music, and
Absolutely.
to really know yourself is to really know your music. And I think if you're going to go on a competition show, definitely when you get there, don't worry about other people. Compete against yourself. Like, that's what it's about. Like, it's about you being better every time you go out on the stage, wanting to do better, not even for yourself, but for the audience. You know, you want to connect to them. You want to make it a good show for them. And so for anybody who is going on one of those shows or anything like that, or wants to get on there, just like, number one, remember to be yourself and know who you are. Number two, don't focus on the other contestants. And number three, when you get on the stage, focus on the audience and pretend that it's your stage. So those
Absolutely.
are my three things.
I love it. Good stuff. So we're here with Hannah Kirby again. This is 83 of the ETX ROCKS Show, and we have a segment called Rapid Fire. I told Hannah a little bit about Rapid Fire before we started recording, but Hannah, are you ready for Rapid Fire?
Man.
Okay,
I don't know.
As our listeners out there know, this is basically a 10-question game. We try to fit them all in about 90 seconds. Sometimes we'll give a punishment, but since you're over the phone, I really can't, punish you for not getting these in 90 seconds. So we'll just try to do it anyway. But here we go. Number one, would you rather have Uggs or Crocs?
Oh God, can we hard pass? Neither.
She wants neither.
Man, like, I guess Crocs, because Uggs are I just no. I mean, they're both a big no, but can I have I don't have to wear Crocs. Sit in my closet. No one knows.
That's true. You can just hide them in the closet. All right. So, would you rather sweat hot sauce or sneeze cheese?
Sweat hot sauce. I already feel like that. I do that all the time anyway.
Okay. So, if you could collab with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man. Oh, Tom Petty. Commentating every day.
Awesome answer. If you could listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty.
She's on fire. All right, if you could be any superhero or villain, who would it be?
Oh man. Oh, dang it. The Question.
Oh my
the
God.
DC hero.
I know exactly who that is. Yes.
He's awesome.
Absolutely. What a great answer. All right, so would you rather Janis Joplin or Patsy Cline?
Janis Joplin.
Okay, if you could live in any TV show or movie, what would it be?
Any TV show or movie. The Lord of the Rings.
Nice. Okay, would you rather have a dog with a cat's personality or a cat with a dog's personality?
Cat with a dog's personality, because it's cute, and then it'll be like curled up on you all the time, like a really happy, nice cat.
Okay, awesome.
That's what's up.
All right, would you rather continue with your life or hit the restart button?
Continue. I don't want to go through middle school again. That was awful.
You don't want to go through middle school again. Okay. Would you rather have no taste buds or be colorblind?
Colorblind. I gotta eat things.
Awesome. That was rapid fire with Hannah Kirby. Hannah, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. I know we've been trying for a while to get this hooked up.
Yeah.
Could you let folks out there know how they can buy your record, where they can find you on social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can go to hannahkirby.com and get the album. You get on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. If you go to hannahgift.com, you can get a free download of the song Will You Stay With Me off of my record. And I'm on Twitter at I am Hannah Kirby. Same on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. And I've got show dates on my website, so check that out.
And where's the best place for venues to go if they want to book Hannah Kirby for a show?
If a venue wants to book me, you can go to info@hannahkirby.com, email that, and get you in touch with my people.
So once again, you guys, thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show, episode number 83 with the one and only Hannah Kirby. Guys, thank you for listening. Remember to keep on supporting local music and
ETX Rock.
This is All Nighter, and you're listening to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Covering music-related content of all genres. If it filters through Eastern Texas, it's fair game. Y'all bring it. From Texarkana down to the coast and Dallas down to Houston and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!